The Olympics hasn't directly impacted on my existence this time around. I've got lots of nostalgic memories of the Olympics as a kid, when it seemed like a much bigger deal, I suppose. I think my earliest memory is of the Mexico 1968 Olympics, and them, obviously happening on the other side of the world with a big time difference. And I don't have my memories of being allowed to stay up really late at night, or being woken up really in the early sort of hours of the morning by my dad, who's a sort of massive armchair sports enthusiast, to watch the Mexico Olympics, because I think it was some sort of historical moment in TV, of sort of live TV at sort of outside of the normal hours. I mean, obviously this is at a time when there were only sort of 3 TV stations, and they shut down by about sort of 10 o'clock in the evening, and started up in the afternoon. So I suppose at that time TV completely framed our experience of a world event, much in the way as Miss World and Eurovision Song Contest would in those days, I suppose. I used to run. I used to do hurdles for my school, and so I have taken part in athletics. And if you've ever sort of taken part in any kind of big sort of competitive sports event, then you never forget the adrenaline rush of the pre-start nerves, and the sort of endurance and the sort of pushing yourself beyond your limits and all those sorts of things. So I guess I still get that sense when I watch professional athletics. But sort of nowadays it's all sort of, it's this really kind of fetishized sort of perfect body thing with the Olympics, isn't it? And the kits that the women wear are kind of really amazing. These little tiny sort of bikini tops and little tiny sort of bikini knickers, and they're sort of exerting themselves physically, and all their sort of incredible muscle tone comes through. And it seems really sort of sexual now, watching these sort of fit, perfect bodies, and like the Brazilian beach volleyball, that seems like a big sort of just sexual voyeurism, really. And then I was just sort of thinking, obviously, this whole kind of global mega business corporation sponsorship, it's all well documented, all that kind of stuff. I mean, just recently I was in Brick Lane, and there's a sort of fantastic piece of street art on a wall just off Brick Lane, and it's been there for a while, and it's very much sort of part of the atmosphere and fabric of that place. And it's now been covered over by a sort of a really bad, huge sort of corporate vinyl by the council welcoming the Olympics. If that's the impression we want to give to the world, what about the the cultural identity of the streets? There's this whole thing about promoting art and artists in this country as part of the Cultural Olympiad. A lot of my artist friends have had work out of the Cultural Olympiad, whatever their thoughts or politics are about the Olympics. So that's got to be a good thing, hasn't it? The only sort of absolute close to home element of the Olympics that's impacted on my sort of immediate kind of everyday life is that we've got the Olympic event just up the road. We've got the mountain biking in Essex, which is kind of odd, seeing as it's one of the flattest counties in the UK, I believe, and it's in a country park, and I know because friends living nearby, a lot of sort of ancient hedgerows have been pulled down, and what was a sort of little bit of semi-rural wilderness in what is a great big sort of spread of urban metropolis around here. A little country lane has been now sort of expanded and tarmacked over, and the only legacy there seems to be left in Hadley is this sort of massive hyper supermarket, Morrison's supermarket, that's got these sort of awful sterile murals on its wall, and a sort of horrible sort of traditional civic kind of bronze statue sculpture of a cyclist, which is completely surrounded by sort of battle fencing, security fencing at the moment, and that's not really what you want, is it? It's not. It doesn't seem very. Hadley's a funny little run-down part of town with a sort of single-lane carriageway running through it that's gridlocked at the best of times. So it seems astonishing that it's been chosen as an Olympic venue. But hey, let's wait and see what happens.